Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at UFC Vegas 109, Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez. This is it, the last one, the last Apex, the last Apex, I can't say, that's too early. The last Apex cards before UFC 319. Let's get this one done quickly. First fight of the night, I'm going to be going through all of them. First fight of the night, Cody Brundage versus Eric McConaughey. We're going to go with Cody Brundage. Eric McConaughey, not as tested. Cody Brundage just kind of fights a level, which is a bit of a worry. But I do think he's going to knock McConaughey out. So we're going to go with Cody Brundage by TKO. Fairly easy. I mean, Cody Brundage isn't like amazing, but he fights the level, I think. So like, you put him in there against a guy who's decent and he'll do decent. Put him in there with a guy who's terrible and he'll perform terribly. So it's going to be sloppy, but I do think Brundage gets the TKO. On to the next one. Gabriela Fernandez versus Julia Storolenko. Hope I said that right. We are going with Gabriel Fernandez. That is not an underdog I want to take. Storolenko is just a bit wishy-washy, a bit back and forth. It is going to go to a decision. I just don't rate Storolenko very highly, if I'm honest with you. For me, I think she's too susceptible to getting chinned. Not that I think she'll get chins, but I do think it goes to a decision. But we're going to go with Gabriela Fernandez by a decision. Next up, Uros Medic versus Gilbert Urbina. We're going to go with Uros Medic. Urbina a bit too untested for me. Medic, he's been here for a little while. His 30th ranking is hard earned, I suppose. It's a tough division to be in, stand-up wise. So yeah, we're going to go with Medic. Gilbert, just not super high level in my opinion. Decent's just not super high level, not as high level as Medic. I mean, I suppose there are levels to the sport, and Medic's not super high level himself, but you know, he's getting up there a little bit. So yeah, we're going to go with Medic. I think it's going to be a stand-up affair. I do think Medic runs away with it in the stand-up. Possibly a TKO. I could see a TKO. I'd say a Uros Medic TKO. We're going to go with a TKO. Uros Medic by TKO. Next up, Jocelyn Edwards versus Priscilla Cachoeira. We're going to go with Jocelyn Edwards. I've been riding high with Jocelyn Edwards for the last two fights. I think we can make it a tradition, Jocelyn. So we're going to go with Jocelyn Edwards. I do think she gets the W. I think she's just more well-rounded than Cachoeira. I think she's just more well-rounded. I think she's got a good enough ground game to keep herself in there, and the stand-up, she's just a fair bit better. So we're going to go with Jocelyn Edwards. I want to say a decision, but I could see a sneaky little submission out of Jocelyn Edwards. You know what? Scratch all that. We're going to go with Jocelyn Edwards by TKO. I think it's going to be a ground and pound TKO. I think she's going to drop her and finish her. So yeah, we're going to go Jocelyn Edwards by TKO. It's a rare pick for me. Picking women to do things. It's a rare pick from me. Next up, Elijah Smith versus Toshiomi Kazama. Now here's the deal. I like Smith for a knockout. I do. Kazama his chin's exposed a lot of the time. He has been finished before. He's been knocked out on the road to UFC, I do believe, as well. He's been knocked out twice in the UFC. He's been TKO'd. Been finished twice by knockout inside of the UFC. I like Elijah Smith to also get a knockout here, but it's worth mentioning that Kazama has that wrestling in his back pocket, and perhaps that grappling is in his advantage, in my opinion. I theorize that Kazama's grappling may be ahead of Elijah Smith's, and I think that if he can get past round one with Elijah Smith and kind of wear on him and slow him down, or maybe just kind of survive into round two, strong enough to continue, healthy enough to continue, I do think maybe we see Elijah Smith end up getting upset by Kazama. So it's a tough one for me to pick, to be honest. But I do think we're going to stick with Elijah Smith by TKO. I just think that Kazama may have adjusted the holes in his game by now. I mean, he got knocked out last like a year and I think it was 4 or 5 months ago when I was last looking, when I was last checking the Tapology page, and that's a good long while to address some of those holes in the game. And his previous fight was a submission victory, I do believe. So if he's addressing the holes in his game and he stays tighter and more defensive in the stand-up and relies more on his grappling, he may find success against Elijah Smith, and that's what concerns me. But we are going to stick with the Elijah Smith by TKO, by KO TKO. On to the next one. This matchup is a funny matchup in my opinion. Julius Walker versus Rafael Caquera. See, Caquera is a massive underdog over Julius Walker. Now, both guys, I don't think either guy is really UFC level. But here we are. Don't think either guy has a win in the UFC, to my knowledge. Julius Walker's only just got here, to be fair, but I don't think either guy has a win in the UFC. So, kind of an interesting matchup. I think they're going to fight to see who belongs here. I reckon whoever loses gets cut. I do think that's going to be our boy Raphael's unfortunately going to be losing and getting cut. But I think it's funny that we've got two guys here that clearly aren't UFC level battling it out at the top of our prelim. Starting off the main card, we've got Eric Anders versus Christian Leroy Duncan. You already know we're biased on this channel, so you know I'm going to pick Christian Leroy Duncan. Why am I going to pick him? His stand-up's going to be better, and his grappling's going to be deceivingly good. Okay? You're going to be like, how's he doing that? How's he doing that? And it's going to be, just trust in the method, okay? So yeah, we're going to go Christian Leroy Duncan. We know what we're going to say. We're going Christian Leroy Duncan by knockout, by TKO. Eric Anders, yeah, he's got a steady chin, I guess, sometimes. Christian Leroy Duncan's going to crack it. CLD going to crack it. So yeah, going to go Christian Leroy Duncan by TKO. Next up, Miles Johns versus Gene Matsumoto. We're going to go with Gene Matsumoto. Miles Johns a bit too untamed for me. Not as crispy and clean as Gene Matsumoto, in my opinion. Gene just a tidier, more, I don't want to say well-rounded, but a tidier, more technical fighter. And I do think that's going to be key, just to not get drawn into a brawl and just keep it technical. And he's going to find success there. I do think it's going to be a Matsumoto decision victory. I think the grappling's going to come into play quite early, just to slow Johns down, and then once he gets some of that gas tank burnt away, I think Gene Matsumoto is going to have an easy time of just walking away, carrying it away to a decision victory. So we're going to go with Gene Matsumoto by decision. Next up, Andre Fili versus Christian Rodriguez. Is he an underdog? He's actually the favourite. Normally I go with Christian Rodriguez every time he's an underdog. I mean, to be fair, I might stick with him now that he's a favourite. Underrated grappling. He knows how to smother. He knows how to make a fight ballroom but still get a victory. He knows how to be aggressive. Pretty decent, entertaining fighter as well. Rare to see a particularly entertaining guy from the US who actually gets a bit done. I say I like him. I like him because he's a safe bet. He knows how to smother a fight and make it slow. And I think that's probably what he's going to do here. It's probably going to be a slow, grapply boxing, dirty boxing kind of affair. So yeah, we're going to go with C-Rod. I like a C-Rod decision, to be honest. I'm feeling a decision here. I don't think Andre Fili's going to go away quietly. Got a fair bit of experience. So we're going to go with C-Rod by decision. Next up, we've got Lasmin Lucindo versus Angela Hill. Actually a bit of a difficult one. We are going to go with Lucindo. I think it's going to be a decision as well. But we're going to go with Lucindo by decision over Angela Hill. Normally I would pick Angela Hill. I just think, when is Angela Hill going to be... I've made this joke before. When is Angela Hill going to be over the hill? And I'm just waiting for that day to come. Because right now she's in that, you know... Got nothing to lose now. I can be a warrior phase of being a woman, if you will. You know, so... Eventually that's going to, and then eventually she's going to go into old lady. So we're waiting for the old lady to come, essentially. So yeah, we're going to go with we're going to go with Lucindo, probably by a decision. Lucindo decision. Next up, our co-main events, we've got Steve Erceg versus Ode Osborne. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go with Steve Erceg. I think Steve Erceg is a more technical striker than Ode Osborne. I think his grappling is Steve Erceg's grappling is really good. And he could just grapple with Osborne, I think. I feel he could just grapple with Osborne and get the victory. But I think he will stand with him. That's dangerous, but I think Erceg has the more technical stand-up, and he will be able to stay safe if he plays it smart. We'll see, though. We'll see. So we're sticking with Steve Erceg. It's probably going to be a Steve Erceg decision, if it is going to be an Erceg victory. So we're going to go with Steve Erceg by decision. And finally, our main event, Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez. I'm going to pick Anthony Hernandez. Once again, a well-rounded fighter, really, really tough guy, really tough opponent. Not easy to put away. Great cardio as well, considering that he doesn't really always look like he's in too much of a great shape. Just an interesting fighter as Anthony Hernandez. Great ground game, and I think that's going to play a factor. I think he's just going to catch Dolidze in something kind of tricky and funky if it does go to the ground. And I think Dolidze's not really going to engage with the guard of Hernandez. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Hernandez, but I can see a Hernandez submission. Maybe, yeah, I can see a Hernandez submission. So, yeah, we'll go with Anthony Hernandez by submission. And that does conclude this video. Thank you very much for watching all the way until the end. Leave a like. Comment down below what you think, who you think's going to win. If you think my picks are terrible, let me know. If you think they're great, let me know. Until next time, keep your chin down and keep swinging. Peace and love. I'll see you around.